who's the Republican candidate, is one of the Republican candidates for the 13th Congressional District. I'll tell you just briefly about Michael, although I'm sure Michael can tell you, fill in the rest. He started out in the Marine Corps, where he served with valor. Then he, after the Marine Corps, he went to law school, if I understand that correctly. After law school, he wound up working for the FBI, working on anti-organized crime task force, I believe, correct?
Close enough.
Close enough, close enough. You're working to fight organized crime.
As we used to say, close enough for government work.
There you go, there you go. And so now, after a very successful and long career in public service, he decided to throw his hat into the ring for the 13th Congressional District. As you know, the 13th Congressional District was recently lost in 2008, but it's been a very long-held Republican seat. And there's no reason, based on what we saw with Scott Brown, that a Republican cannot pick that seat up again, despite what people might say about the popularity of Mike McMahon in Staten Island. There's a lot of hope for that to go back to the Republicans this year. So, so without further ado, I'd like to invite our friend Mike Grimm.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. I won't take up too much of your time. I know we're all tired and busy working all day, but it's important. I think Massachusetts last night hits the nail on the head. We can do anything. Before I tell you a little bit about my background, when people ask me why I was getting involved in politics, I've never been involved in politics in my life. Never thought I would ever be in politics. True, I was in government 16 years. Since the age of 19, I enlisted in the Marines. And I left college to do that. And everyone said, what are you doing? You're crazy. You study accounting and finance. You have a partial college scholarship. You don't need the Marine Corps. And they were right. I didn't need the Marine Corps. But I felt it was important to serve this country. And I believe in what it is. My father worked 2 and sometimes 3 jobs to put my sister and I through school. And growing up, there was always a sense of duty, a sense of service. Not just to the country, but to our neighbors, to our families, and that was ingrained in me at an early age, and that's one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps. When I came out, I went back to school. I put myself through college. I worked full-time and went to school full-time because I didn't have a choice. I had to pay for it. So I put an application in for the FBI, and I got the midnight shift as a clerk. And I worked midnight to 8 in the morning, went to school from 9 to 4 in the afternoon. And I did that almost until I graduated, but I got recruited to go to Wall Street. And I was a research analyst, a stockbroker, and a stock trader in 2 years. And I had just started making money. I'll never forget, my biggest month, I broke $20,000 in 1 month. Here's a kid, he's 24 years old. My father's never made more than $65,000 a year, and I made over 20-something thousand in a month. And I figured, it's happening. And I was very impressed with myself. And then the FBI called. And it was, do you want to be an agent? Because I turned 24, the minimum age, and I had my accounting degree, so I was eligible. And without a shadow of a doubt, it was great to make some money and to see the lucrative opportunities on Wall Street, but serving this country was where my heart was. And I left, and at 25 years old, I was an agent in Quantico, Virginia, and I got assigned back here in New York. I worked a myriad of cases. I worked a vast spectrum of cases, but my specialty, and really in my last almost 6 years, I was deep undercover agent, and I specialized in corruption. I worked one of the biggest cases in Wall Street history. I was the first agent to infiltrate Wall Street, and there was a ton of corruption on Wall Street. I did that for 2 years, and I worked public corruption. I was bribing politicians in New Jersey. I know there were dirty politicians in New Jersey. I was working dirty politicians in Chicago, and corrupt police officers in Florida. So over 6 years I specialized in corruption. And I was going to leave, I did leave to get married, settle down, have some children. And she had another idea. And she fell for somebody else and got married and had a baby, but just not with me. But that's the way it goes. You know, if one door closes, another door opens. And what I did was I focused on business. And I established a restaurant in Upper Manhattan from scratch. Did most of it myself. I did the legal work, the accounting work, and was flipping burgers and answering phones. So I was the head bottle washer. A very humbling experience. And I opened the Grimm company in Texas, dealing with biofuels. And weaning America off of foreign oil was a big deal for me. So I wanted to put my money where my mouth is, even though I didn't have very much money. I put a lot of time and effort into building that company, and that's still a fledgling. But so when you look at everything, over the last year, I feel our country is headed in a very dangerous direction. I think that this liberal agenda is eroding the core values that this country was built on. The free market system is what makes us great. It's one of the things that really separates us from the rest of the world. And that's where I want to go back to what I first started with. What's going to get us out of recession, hard times, war, and everything else is the people of the United States. We're the greatest country in the world because we have the greatest people. And our resolve, I think you see with our soldiers, we have 19, 20-year-old kids over in combat, 2 and 3 tours. I had 1 tour, and I got to tell you, it was tough. So it speaks volumes about who we are as a people. And I'm very, very proud of that. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I'm very proud to say I'm American. Sure, I may be a Republican, I may even be, very conservative Republican. But above everything, I'm an American, and I'm a patriot. And I would take a bullet for this country. That's the truth. So over the last year, when I saw what's happening, I had to look at my resume, and I said, I'm an accountant and a lawyer that's owned 2 small businesses and has 16 years in the government. Where can I be most effective? Because I have to serve again. It's just in me. And the way things are going, I felt like I had to serve. And Congress was the logical answer based on everything that I've done and my experience. And that's why I'm running. I'm running for the same exact reason that I enlisted in the Marine Corps and the same reason I left Wall Street to join the FBI. Because I love this country and I'm very proud to be a public servant of this country. So I'm going to be kicking off my campaign this Saturday. The American Legion on 78th Street at 1:30. It doesn't cost anything to come by. I would love to have some support. Anyone that can come, please spread the word. If you could stop by, I would appreciate it. We have some big things headed. I think there'll be some very large public announcements coming out over the next month and a half, some big endorsements and things like that. So we're very excited about the campaign. We think we put together a great team. And especially because I'm in Brooklyn tonight, I want to just mention this. I live in Staten Island, but I'm born in Brooklyn. Both of my parents were born in Brooklyn. I was raised in Queens, so I've been just about every borough. I look at this as a district. It's the 13th Congressional District. It's not Staten Island seat. I get angry when I hear that. It was never a it's not Staten Island seat. It's the 13th Congressional District seat, and that includes Brooklyn. And Brooklyn has always been near and dear to my heart because my parents grew up here in Brooklyn and I was born here. So I want you to know that although I live in Staten Island, the district is right here as much as it is there. And I make that commitment to you now. So I would love to have your support, but I'd like to earn it. I'd like you to get to know me and see that there's only one thing I know how to do, and that's work hard. 14, 15 hours a day is what I've done since I'm a young teenager. I went to law school, by the way, while I was an FBI agent. I went at night. So I was an agent all day and a law student all night. So 15-hour days is what I do, and I think that's what we're missing in Congress. I think we're missing common sense, a real love for the country, and hard work. Because when you put those together, you just saw what happened in Massachusetts. Anything can happen. This country can do anything. It's the greatest people in the world. So that's what I'd like to try to bring to Congress, and with your support, I know we can win this seat. There's no question about it, and I know for good reason Mike McMahon is worried right now. And he should be. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. If there's any questions, I'll be here. Just feel free to ask. All right. Thank you.